Okay, welcome everyone. We're glad that you're here and happy for the great presentations and recognitions that are going to take place tonight. It is Thursday, April the 25th, and it is our board meeting. It is 5:30 p.m., and we're going to go ahead and begin with roll call, and we'll start with Larry.
Larry Jepson, board member.
Randall Bagley, board member.
Steve Norton, superintendent.
Roger Pulsford, board member.
Kathy Christiansen, board member.
Terry Rhodes, board member.
And Dale Hanson, business administrator.
And we are missing Jeff Nelson, who is excused. He has two children who are graduating from BYU today, so he is gone. And we are missing Alan Gruding, board member, who has resigned to go on a mission to Germany. So we're happy to be here with you, and we will begin with the pledge and the mission statement led by Terry Rhodes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our mission is to educate students for success in a changing world.
Thank you. Okay, it's always fun to do the recognitions, and we're so glad to see so many people here, and I hope we have seats enough for everyone.
Let's hold it just for a second. We'll put another row up front.
Oh, my mouse is working.
Okay, have we got enough chairs for everyone now?
I'm okay now.
Some more chairs up front, right up here if you want to come up.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to begin by recognizing Nancy Allen from Cedar Ridge. She has received the State of Utah Teacher of the Year for Veterans of Foreign Wars, and her recognition will be presented by Amy Bassett, the principal of Cedar Ridge. Oh, yes, we will. That'll work out great. Okay, so we will recognize three Teachers of the Year. The first one from Mountain Crest, Artis Amundsen, the FACS teacher, and this will be presented by Terry Cutler, principal.
Summer. Come on up here. Well, it is my privilege to introduce to you Artis Amundsen, our Teacher of the Year at Mountain Crest High School. This is a big deal to get Artis out here today. She really wanted to take the day off and be absent today. She doesn't like to be recognized, but I'm so glad to have her here. And joining me up here is Summer Bott. She's also in the Family and Consumer Science Department at Mountain Crest High School. I'm so pleased that Artis is getting this recognition this year. Artis has been at Mountain Crest High School for 32 years, but began her career in Richfield at Richfield High School. And 1985, yeah, 1985, and but she took that leap and got married, and I think after 1 year of teaching, took a year off, and her husband Jim had a job opportunity in Cache Valley, so they moved to Logan. Is that right? And they had a child that year, and so Artis took that year off, and then the next year jumped right in to a career at Mountain Crest and has been there ever since. Artis has worked very hard to help build that program at Mountain Crest, and although I've only been at Mountain Crest for 4 years, I can tell you from experience that she's passionate about that program and passionate about students and helping them learn those skills, those family and consumer science skills. And another thing that I saw her work really hard at Mountain Crest to do is see that we got a preschool going at Mountain Crest, and she believed in it. She had to bring me along and help me see that vision. But she wanted her students to have that opportunity to work in that preschool and be able to fulfill that pathway in those CTE programs. And I appreciate her work and what she did there. Artis and Jim have 4 daughters that they've raised, and they've spent a lot of time as a family supporting Mountain Crest, volunteering countless hours. Artis has spent a lot of time being our advisor for our reps out at Mountain Crest. The reps, for those of you who don't know, they tie into homecoming, homecoming parade, the homecoming dance, and again, my years out there, Artis and the whole family have been there at the homecoming parade and the dance and the activities, and making sure that students have a good experience and good memories as they go through that high school. So we just appreciate everything that she does. She loves spending time with her family, camping, the outdoors, and I just want to share with you some things that students had to say about Artis and her teaching. Mrs. Amundsen is an amazing teacher. She was always willing to go the extra mile for anyone. She will always help you, and when you don't understand things that were taught in class, she makes the classes she teaches more fun by the activities she plans. She interacts with us and helps us understand. I have really enjoyed having her as my teacher. I'm so grateful for all the support she has given to me. The love she has for teaching is evident in the success of her students. She has a pleasant disposition, is understanding, and is always willing to help where needed. She was the advisor of the reps, formerly known as WAMA, for several years. She works hard to be of service to the fellow faculty members and the Mountain Crest staff as well. Another student observed, a trait that Mrs. Amundsen possesses that makes her a fantastic teacher is her attitude to help others. She will go out of her way to help you if you're struggling in any of her classes. Mrs. Amundsen is very passionate about her job, and it shows in the way she treats the students. It also shows in the way she treats all students and faculty members at Mountain Crest High School. She is always a joy to be around and makes sure you know how much she cares about you and your education. She has helped me develop academically as a person. She is a blessing to everyone she meets and is a joy to be around. We appreciate her so much and present her to you as our Teacher of the Year.
Oh, I didn't plan on doing it. Oh, anyway, just wanted to tell Terry and Summer thank you, and there's other people here that over the years I've seen come through Mountain Crest, and just tell everyone thank you, and especially my family. They're such a great support, and I really appreciate them.
Would her family and teachers from Mountain Crest who are here to support her please stand? Thank you. Thank you, and congratulations. Next, we would like to recognize Nicole James. She is a 6th grade teacher at Nibley, and her recognition will be presented by Principal Kelly Rendlesbacher.
Nicole James is the Teacher of the Year at Nibley Elementary School, and Nicole's been at our school for 3 years. She is one of those people who just fits right in with what she does. She is a hard worker. She wants to be involved. One of the things that she did, well, a couple things she did, she joined in working with our after-school program. She started to work with our school counselor and helps with the girls group there that she runs. She has helped with our leadership program. And all of these things while earning her master's degree and going to France over spring break. You know, she does everything. She loves to travel, she loves to teach, she loves to do, to help her students in all ways. She has great ideas for her lessons. This year in her class, I've gone in there and watched brine shrimp hatch and watched them swim, and the kids see the wonder of that. We got to taste homemade brownies from the students as they tried to do their conversions with their fractions, which was an adventure. It worked out pretty well. Yes. I've been able to go in and you watch them seeing the thermal insulation values of different houses. You see kids, upcoming the 6th grade is going to have a star night, moon night, take the kids out on a night and watch the moon and do some really neat things. But she does all of these things beyond and above her regular teaching things. She's been a very good part of our faculty, and I mentioned that a little bit earlier. When she came in, one thing I've always said about her is I just said, you were never a first-year teacher. Because she came in and just did not have those things you typically see. She has maturity about her, and she has lots of good experience that help her become a great teacher, and she has been excellent from the very beginning. A couple of comments from her co-workers. I edited these out. The language is good, so some of them they were all good. I like the very first one. She is sunshine for our soul. She goes the extra mile to help the students and make them feel loved and that they matter. She's a great example to our staff by showing excitement, happiness, extending a helping hand when needed. She's awesome to work with. She has an infectious love for what she does. She's a champion for her students over and over again. And Nicole is a great example of a great teacher. Her passion is present in all that she pursues. Nicole James is an excellent teacher. She's a great addition to the Nibley staff. We love to have her there and love to work with her. In everything she does, she has just been great. And if Mary Poppins wasn't taken, she is practically perfect in every way. But she's a hard worker, she's driven, but best of all, she's our Teacher of the Year at Nibley Elementary School, Nicole James.
Kelly told me I had to prepare like an Oscar speech, so. Well, I just have to say that this is probably something that never would have happened without the people that I work with, because like I'm always in Mr. Torrey's classroom every day, like asking for help. I mean, so it's not really me, it's everyone that I work with. And I'm sure people say that all the time, but it's really true because there's no way that I would be where I am today without the people that I work with, and a lot of them are here today, so I appreciate that. And my family who supported me through getting my master's degree and going traveling with me and helping me. I've kind of always had a love for children, and only recently, because like Kelly said, I've only been a teacher for 3 years, but I've always had a love for children, and I didn't always have a love for learning, and as an adult, I found that passion, and it's something that I try to instill into my students, so thank you.
Thank you. Would Nicole's family and teachers from Nibley please stand? We recognize your support as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, next we would like to recognize Chad Hawks. He's a 5th grade teacher at North Park, and his recognition will be presented by Principal Alden Jack.
We've got Chad's wife who's rushing to get here, but I think she may have gone to the other building.
Oh, okay. Should we wait?
Can we postpone
Yeah.
this a bit?
Okay. Can we go back and pick up? Okay, we'll go ahead now back to let me see where we are here.
Just go up to the top and do
Yeah.
Nancy Allen.
There we are.
We love this lady so much. This is Nancy Allen. She teaches second grade at Cedar Ridge Elementary. And this year she was the recipient of the Veterans of Foreign Wars Award. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that award because many of you have probably never even heard of it or known of its existence. But she is the perfect pick for this. So the VFW annually recognizes the nation's top elementary, junior high, and high school teachers who teach at least half of the school day in a classroom environment and promote American history, traditions, and citizenship education effectively. And I'm going to let Nancy tell you in just a minute what she does in her classroom so that you can understand why she received this award. But she won for District 3, which is the local area. Was it Region 2? Then she won for the region. And she is the state recipient as well for the state of Utah. So we are super proud of her. And I want to present to you Nancy Allen, the VFW recipient.
Thank you so much. First of all, I am so honored to have received this award because it is really dear to my heart. My dad served in the military, my husband and my son. And one thing I know for sure is that I learned so much from living amongst military that we just don't realize how much sacrifice people make. And it's not just just the military member itself, but it's the whole family. And I remember one morning going out to send my kids to school and just being overwhelmed like, oh my word, every single person that I'm looking at is either without a husband or a wife, and the other spouse is doing all of it on their own, and they do it every single day. So for me, that was just wow, to be able to have this honored and to be able to tell my students how important it is to feel love for their country and feel a love for the military, the veterans that have served our country, and hopefully instill in them to be good citizens. And so hopefully I'm doing that. But we do the Star Spangled Banner after our Pledge of Allegiance, and we do one extra word a day, and we're up to the third verse in the Star Spangled Banner. So we do that, and then we've had several veterans come to our class and talk about the importance of our country and how wonderful and great it is. So I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Okay, and could we have her family and support team from Cedar Ridge?
Support group in the back, I know too.
All right, thank you. Are we good to go with North Park? Okay, all right.
Well, this is fun. I'm so glad that I get to stand up here with Chad Hawks. Let me just tell you a couple of things that I really admire about Chad. Just until a couple of moments ago, actually tonight, he was taking a group of kids to see the Hill Air Force Base and the state capitol, and long bus ride back, and he was watching the clock saying, I need to get to this meeting, and we had a few students that were still at the school about 45 minutes later, still waiting for a parent to come help us get them home. And I just think that's a fitting way to just let you know that that's kind of how Chad rolls. He just kind of does whatever he needs to do to support kids, and I really appreciate that about Chad. He might be embarrassed if I say this, but I'm going to do it. I see Chad do things like help a kid who has a problem with the lunch balance. Just doesn't really tell much about it, just kind of takes care of it. I see him pull people aside who need help when they need something extra. He's always got, I think it could be his own stand-up comedian show. He's got the best jokes. He always knows right when to add the punch, and that really helps us out when we kind of need a little pick-me-up. Having a meeting that drags on a little long, and we need Chad's help to spice it up. And he's been running a program in his classroom that he calls the Hawks Rangers. And if I got it correct, this is the 14th year running of doing the Hawks Rangers. I got to step in his classroom just the other morning, and he had his students reciting the Ranger charge, or the Warrior Creed. And I just want to read a bit of this to you to give you an idea of how he uses this as a tool of positive supports for the kids that sit in front of him each day. And I just wanted to share a little bit of this for you. The Warrior Creed is, I am a Hawks Ranger. I will carry out my responsibilities to the best of my ability. I will strive to be safe, respectful, responsible, and ready to learn at all times. And by doing so, will bring honor to my classmates, school, home, and community. I'm a defender of truth, respect, dignity, honor, and country. I'm a Hawks Ranger. And I wish you could have seen how the students stood up straight and recited that in the morning. You can tell that's something that he's taught them to care about and given them kind of a sense of a we in the classroom. We are Rangers. And he helps them keep track of their progress on those areas of things they do through the school year. And I just think that's a wonderful thing. He holds a Rangers graduation at the end of the year to celebrate the work and the accomplishments of the kids. And he has an alumni book that he leaves out for visitors. And we have many visitors who are starting to return as alumni members of the Hawks Rangers who simply just want to be a part of that moment and enjoy being there. And I can't tell you how often we have students who come to the school, students who've moved on to middle and high school, who come back after hours to the office and say, could we go down and say hi to Mr. Hawks? And I just think that kind of spells out for you the kind of commitment that he makes to reaching kids and helping them feel valued and appreciated and helping them to learn at school. So if you would please give a big round of applause for Chad Hawks.
I actually started my teaching career, well, I didn't start my teaching career. I got an associate's degree through Utah State University in meat science. I went to work as a meat cutter. A lot of parallels between meat cutting and elementary school teaching. But it wasn't until 10 years in the meat industry I decided that I needed to go back to school and do something that I'd really enjoy. So when I shared that news with my dad, his response was, well, you're going to do great with 10-year-olds. I mean, you're right there, buddy. So I've been in 5th grade ever since, and I apparently haven't got it right yet because I keep repeating it, but it's a great place to be. I found my niche. I see these kids when they come back. A lot of these Rangers now, first, second Rangers, have their own families, and when they come back and sign my book and come up and give me a hug, that's the payback I get as a teacher, to have those kids come up and to, number one, remember 5th grade, and then the fact that they had a good experience in elementary school. It says a lot. It says a lot for them. It says a lot for our faculty, who are amazing people and a great family, and I appreciate them. I appreciate my family and the support that I've had through the years. We've kind of got some educators in our family, and we kind of like it. So I'm really appreciative of this award, and I'm just grateful to be a teacher.
Could we have his family and his teacher support team stand, please? Thank you. We'll get a picture. We appreciate all of our teachers so much. Feel like we have the best teachers in the whole state of Utah right here in Cache County. We'll go ahead and move on to our classified employees of the year now. And we are going to start with Nicole Erickson, the paraprofessional from River Heights Elementary School. And this will be presented by Principal Stephanie Adams.
Well, you get that.
Can I get that? Thank you. Nicole asked me to make this about 10-15 minutes long because she really likes attention. I better be careful, she won't come to work tomorrow. I have been at River Heights for 2 years, and at the start of last year, Nicole was not working with us at that point, but she had in the past. And when an opening came available in our school, I started asking around, who do you know that might be interested in this position to help us out a little bit? And immediately a few folks said, oh, Nicole Erickson, we've got to get her back in our school and in our classrooms. And so trying to do my due diligence, I called Principal Harris, who had been there just before me, and said, can you tell me a little bit about Nicole Erickson? He said, yes, hire her. And I went to our literacy facilitator after that and said, Bev, what can you tell me about Nicole? She's like, I hate you, don't you dare take her. And right away when you have folks that are ready to start a fight over who gets a person that you have struck gold. And I have been absolutely amazed at what Nicole has been able to do for our students. She has worked in our program in the reading program, she's worked with behavior, she's worked as a classroom aide, she's worked in the life skills program, and this year she's been in the resource program supporting our students there. And we have students that have been with her this year who have made 3 times the progress in 1 year than they have made in the last 2 together. Because she understands students, and she understands that when they know you care about them, that's when students will work their guts out for you, for themselves, and they will reach a potential that they didn't even know they had because someone cares about them. And that is Nicole's gift, and we are very blessed to have her at River Heights. Nicole Erickson has been chosen as our Cache County School District Para of the Year.
So does this mean I get to pick whatever job I want next year? Thank you. I guess I must be doing something right. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much.
Okay, would Nicole's family and teachers who are here to support her please stand? Thank you. Next, representing the secretaries, we would like to recognize Cheryl Henry, and her award will be presented by Lynette Riggs, principal of Mountainside Elementary.
We folks who hang out in the office have really enjoyed Cheryl's notoriety of late. She hasn't, but we have. Yesterday, for example, we started with a big vase full of water, and one by one classroom by classroom, one group of adults by group, came up with one solitary flower, and they placed it in the vase. And by the end of the day, we had a beautiful spring bouquet of flowers. Not only did they bring the flower, but they also held conversations about what a great person she is, and what a great secretary she is, and what a great helper she is. They decided on one thing, put it on a card, and brought that also with the flower. So, I know our time is limited, so I just picked a few. Cheryl, thank you bunches for calling our moms when we are sick and finding our families when we are lost. This is from kindergarten. You help us feel safe and happy. smiling at us. We love you. Being nice, helping us, giving us ice packs and Band-Aids. Doing your job so well. You are a great example. Always helping and being a jack of all trades. That came in yesterday. She was an investigator, and in a second she was on it and saved one of our poor young little teachers from being the victim of a terrible scam. So she's got the ESP going. Knowing the answer to every question, taking care of us when we are hurt, checking us in and out, and doing the lunch count, making sure all of our equipment works, being the heart of our school. You wear so many different hats, and you do an amazing job. You are so organized and helpful. Thanks for all you do. Well, this, of course, is just a tiny sampling. So, my card wasn't in there. I love and respect Mrs. Henry for the great person she is. I love her for her honesty and her integrity. I love her strong, independent spirit. I love how she'll give people the what for when they need it. I love how she gives people love and compassion when they need it. I love how there is no drama. I love how level-headed she is. She keeps her head when those around her loses theirs. I love how I can depend and trust her always. I respect her good judgment. Her many skills are amazing. I so depend on her to be a one-person sound and light crew and technology fix-it person. She is an amazing nurse. She is an amazing bookkeeper, and her secretarial abilities are unsurpassed. I love her initiative. If you want to be a step ahead of Cheryl, you have to hustle. And believe me, I have to hustle. I am very proud and pleased to present to this board and to this audience Mountain Sides and Cache County School District's Secretary of the Year.
Thank you, Mrs. Riggs. She told me I had to speak, and I've been dreading it since she told me. I thought I could get away with not doing this, but I love my job. So to be recognized for it is just a great honor. And sorry. I love my coworkers, who I see many here, and thank you so much. You are all amazing. And we have great students at Mountainside who I love dearly. And thank you to my family for coming. My kids are back there dying because this is taking forever, but thank you. I love you guys. Thanks.
Would her family and teachers from Mountainside please stand? Thank you for your support. Thank you. All right, representing the custodians is Mike Daly from Summit Elementary, and his recognition will be presented by Troy Pugmire.
As you've seen, it's hard to keep these short. We're supposed to keep these to 3 minutes, and it's really hard because everyone that's receiving rewards deserves it. But I'll do my best. And if I talk too much, he'll make me cry anyway, and then he'll cry and he won't be able to make his comments. So I'm going to start off with the kids, right? Let them tell Mike what they think of him. The first one is just a part of one because I think it's great. It says, when a ball is flat, he makes it puffy. So that was great. There's several of them, but I'll give just one more. This is the first one. It says, first, Mike is a good person because he cleans the school and he finds a solution to everything. Next, he plays a lot with me and others and cheers me up. Finally, Mike cares for kids, and this is why Mike is a good person. Mike, you are amazing, awesome, cool, and super. P.S. Mike, I wish you were my teacher. So Mike, he's deserved this for a long time. Everyone that knows him knows that he deserves it. He's respected by other custodians. They come to him often for advice. Everyone that comes from the district office that visits compliments Mike on the things he does. All the teachers respect him. I think one of the great things about Mike, besides the fact that he is an amazing custodian, is that he's more than a custodian. The kids, if there's a kid that's struggling, Mike always finds them. He is just willing to do that, and he cares about them, not just our building. I am happy and pleased to present Mike Daly as our custodian for Cassia County.
He didn't tell me how to speak, so I'm not going to say too much. I enjoyed working at the school in some aspects. Some are not very much fun. I'm thankful for my family. My father and mother is here today also. My 2 daughters and 3 of my grandkids. So thank you.
Could the families please stand?
How pretty on that. It's going out to the world.
Thank you. Next, we'll have representing the Transportation Department, driver Diane Rigby, and will be presented by Ed Crookston.
You're already in tears? You know, I have to say this real quick. Mark went way out of his road to come up with this sweet lady, about 10,000 miles out of his road. She's from Perth. Those of you that know anything about Australia, way over on the west coast of Australia. And so she made a little ways to get here. I'm going to share just a quick little experience. Years ago when I was evaluating an awful lot, I rode with Diane when she was driving a regular bus. And when I got done with that, I was so impressed with how well trained her students were for safe crossing, remaining in their seats, and respectful for each other. She's become one of our special ed drivers, and I've kind of lost track of how many years you've been doing that. But I'll tell you, she is loved by the parents and by her students that are on her bus. We had all kinds of letters that were sent by parents and students complimenting how much they appreciated Diane and the great work that she does and how much she cares for these kids. And she's very much so protective of the students that are on her bus, I assure you of that. And I couldn't help doing this, but one of the other things she's getting quite a reputation for, her and Mark, you can't see this, but this was, some of these pictures were displayed on the web page for the district. And everybody waits for Halloween to see what these two are going to do. And I believe the motivation behind this is Diane and sewing up the costumes. And Mark's a good sport. I don't know if my wife could talk me into some of these, but but I want to kind of give you this along with your plaque so that you got a little poster of some of your pictures there, Diane. And we really love and appreciate her, and I'm very proud to present Diane Rigby to you as the, I was going to say the driver of the year, but it's the employee of the year for transportation. And we really appreciate Diane and all she does for all the students and the parents.
Oh boy, I'm not.
I started driving for the insurance. It's 31 years now. And I drove for all 5 of my sons, and I survived, taking them to school, and then I progressed on to special needs. My sons all have had health issues, and I could feel sorry for myself. But every day that I get on the bus and I'm with those special needs students, you can't feel sorry for yourself. You watch what those parents have to deal with, and you have a lot of empathy for them. I love my students dearly, and I've lost 4 over the years, and that's a heartbreak for me. But it's been a privilege to be their driver, and I really appreciate this recognition. Thank you very much.
Would her family and any transportation specialists here also stand? We appreciate you supporting her. Thank you. In child nutrition, we'd like to recognize Mickey Ricks, and that recognition will be presented by Bob Henke, principal of Ridgeline.
Well, I'm pleased to have Mickey Ricks here from Ridgeline High School. I was a little worried when I sat down next to her earlier before I had to move up. She said, "This isn't me," and she's not excited about the recognition, really. And then when they started doing the recognitions and everybody had to speak, I thought for sure when I turned around she'd be gone. But she's still here, that's good. We love Mickey and really the staff. You know, it's important that at a school it's just not about the teachers, but it's about everybody that works in the building. And everybody that's being recognized tonight is part of that team that makes the school successful. And I got a couple pictures on the wall in my office. One's of some of the custodians, and the others are of the cooks, and they're all wearing crowns at the homecoming parade. And because it's important, we're all a team, and so we really appreciate Mickey, and I'm glad she's still here right now with me. Let me just read some of the things that were written just by those. And by the way, I work in the lunchroom every day. Every day that I'm available, I go down there and thank you. There's the team right there, part of the team. And but I do. I work in the a la carte line, and I enjoy it. I collect the money, and they slide their cards or whatever and scan their cards, and it's fun to be with the students. And then I eat lunch. They usually won't eat right next to me, but they eat really close to me. So I get to eat lunch with all the cooks too, and it's a lot of fun. And I enjoy that. It's been fun. And so I can verify everything that's said in here. Mickey always comes to work with a smile on her face. Her cheerful disposition is contagious and helps us all have a desire to be and to do better. Mickey is an example of commitment. Mickey loves the kids and goes above and beyond her regular job scope. She will tell every student, "Thank you for coming to lunch." She'll ask how their day is. If a student is on crutches, she'll stop her line and walk that student to his or her seat. She is never put out if a student comes late to lunch or if one complains about something. She is always smiling and encouraging to all she associates with and comes in contact with. She takes pride in her job and shows it daily as she does it with such grace. We admire Mickey so much and feel blessed every day to call her our own. And so I'm very pleased, and we are, all those sitting in the back there, are pleased to honor Mickey Ricks as the Child Nutrition Employee of the Year.
I want to thank, I have great school that I work with, and everyone in there is just amazing. It makes you want to come to work every day. And I want to thank them for all coming. Thank you.
Would her family and those who are here from Ridgeline stand? Thank you for your support. Thank you so much. This is the funnest part of our board meetings each time that we have recognitions. We appreciate the families and the other folks from the schools and especially those who received awards. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but this is a good time to sneak out if you would like to do that. That was a lot today. That's fine.
8 or 9 people left. A lot of support besides family.
That's good. That is really good. Okay, there's no public input, so we'll go ahead and move to our consent agenda. I will take a motion to approve our consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
I second it.
Okay, any discussion? All right, we'll go ahead and vote.
Okay, all the voting is in and is unanimous in favor of the motion.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to our action agenda then. We have a request for approval of the South Cache Middle School School Land Trust budget adjustment. I will take a motion to approve that.
Mike's up there in case you have any
I'm
questions.
just representing South Cache on a
Okay.
couple items tonight. So
Okay.
they did present just moving money so they can get underneath their 10% carryover. So we'd appreciate the support from the board.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I make the motion we accept South Cache's adjustment to their school land trust program.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, we'll vote.
Okay, all the votes are in and unanimously in favor of the motion.
Okay. Next, we have a request for approval of the District Stipend Committee policy update.
Last time we met, Andy Lund presented. He was the chair of the stipend committee and presented a few basic changes in the policy that we work under in the stipend committee, and so we're asking for the approval from the board for that.
I'll take a motion to approve the District Stipend Committee policy update.
I move that we approve the district stipend committee policy update.
I second it.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, we'll vote.
I got off track there for a second.
Okay. Hang on just a minute. I can't get my thing to go where I want it to go. Okay, I've totally
would you like
lost
me
it
to
now.
enter that
Oh,
for
there
you?
it is. Let's see if I can find it. Getting closer. Okay.
Okay, all the votes are in and unanimously in favor of the motion.
All right, and a request now for the approval of the sex education policy changes.
I move that we approve the sex education policy changes.
I second it.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, we will vote. I'm still working at it. How do you get it to go where it when it won't do it? Yes.
We got a millennial sitting back there. She'll come up and help you with that.
So then all the votes are in unanimously in favor of the motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we will go ahead and go to our report agenda. Gosh, I'm having trouble with that tonight. First of all, energy savings by Johnson Controls.
Bruce, do you want to introduce these folks? Either Bruce. Bruce squared. Okay.
I believe that the board has been aware of the fact that we have put out an RFP for an energy study and a proposal to do a energy project in the district to help save money and costs as we go forward and get some things taken care of that we've wanted to do for a long time. We have here tonight Johnson Controls, and there's Scott Reese, Peter White, and Vera Vijay. And they will do a presentation. They can explain what an ESCO is a lot better than Bruce or I could do it. And so we'll just let them go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of have to lean into that mic really close.
So thank you for being here. I don't know where everybody went. I thought they came to hear me present tonight. That was really inspirational. It really was. It's very rewarding being here tonight and hearing those great stories. We are here tonight to talk about performance contracting and, as Bruce said, ESCOs. Before I start, we're going to talk about your schools a little bit. I want to make sure I'm very clear up front that I've been doing this for over 35 years. And I've worked in 7 different states, from Hawaii, Nevada, California, Idaho, Utah, Arizona. And Utah schools are really maintained well compared to other states, very well. And Cache School District especially, as we go through your sites, we've been through them, they really are maintained well to a very high level. But that being said, schools have challenges with budgets, and there's not always enough money to do all the things you would like to do. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. There are some of the things we can do to bring current technologies into your schools that will allow you to save energy, and what you're paying the utility, you will now use to upgrade your facilities in your schools. A lot of these schools, you have some beautiful brand new schools. The 2 new high schools are just absolutely beautiful, and some of the middle schools and elementary schools. But some of the other schools, such as Skyview, it's 50 plus years old, and it's getting tired. And so there's things we can do there that will not only save energy, but really enhance the environment, the learning environment there in the school. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about Johnson Controls, talk about the project goals, the energy indices, the existing conditions, and some solutions. How do we do a project like this as far as financing, and kind of the development process that goes forward. So Johnson Controls, we've actually been in your school district for a long time, 20 plus years. In fact, over 20 years ago, you did a project just like this in the school district. I was here. We were in the other building adjacent here, and it was a very highly successful project. Dell can contest to the fact that you paid for that project about 10 years, thereabouts, and for the last 10 plus years you've just been benefiting those savings without having to pay for anything. So it's been a good opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, technologies have changed, so there's greater opportunity. So right now, Johnson Controls has over 723 active, guaranteed performance contracts projects out there. That's about $6.6 billion in guarantees. In other words, when we talk about energy savings, we're talking about energy savings that's actually guaranteed by Johnson Controls, that you'll get that. If you don't, we write you a check for the difference of what we guarantee versus what you actually receive. We've been doing this for over 30-plus years as far as performance contracting. And schools, K through 12, is where Johnson Controls really has had the largest market impact. We've already done introductions, so we'll just go to the next slide. So the goals, obviously, is to reduce energy. We're also looking to reduce your annual maintenance and operational cost. We'll talk about that more about that. Deferred maintenance, that's that ever creeping thing that happens when you just don't have money to take care of everything as you go. It collects over time. Resolving some technology issues. We have more technology in our schools than, well, compared to 20 years ago even. So much more technology that they're having to work with. So how do we implement that? How do we improve the learning environment? We're going to talk about, again, self-funded, pay-through savings, guaranteed energy savings, and taking advantage of all the different rebates that are out there through the utilities, through the state, federal grants, other things that are out there. We bring all those in to help buy down the cost of the project. So when I came and met with the district back in, I think it was February, we weren't sure where Cache School District sat as far as what the opportunity is. So we decided we'd go out and look at 11 of the sites. And those 11 are indicated there on the slide, on the left-hand side. This slide here shows how much energy you're actually using in each of those schools. The 11 that we looked at had an index of just over 65.09. So we know that that's actually high. It's not outrageously high, but it's high. We know there's opportunity based upon that index rating. And then we looked at the other schools, the other 14 schools, 15 schools, and saw that they were a little more efficient. Well, that makes sense because some of those other schools are your newer schools, your high schools, you know, that are Lewiston, others. So they are a little more energy efficient, built with the technologies and building standards that we have today. So looking at that, you know, we've got about 2.6 million square feet of facilities, and we know that there is a possibility to reduce your energy costs by about 20 to 30% depending on the school that we looked at. And again, extracting that across the rest of the district, we've come up with some numbers that would be beneficial to the district. So these are some of the existing conditions. Again, we're not going to make fun of these conditions or put them down, but it's just a fact. Skyview High School is 50-plus years old. If you walk in there in the classrooms, you'll see those yellow lenses, the big, thick yellow lenses. They're very brittle. They don't let a lot of light through, and they use a lot of energy. We can put different lighting technologies in there, potentially new fixtures that will improve the overall learning environment. It will save energy. It's just all around a good thing to do. If you walk around the schools, and this isn't just here in this school district, at every school district I've ever been to, the gymnasiums, all the lights are on, and a lot of time there's no students around or faculty. They're just on. Now there's technologies that are available to bring those lights on when you need them on, and they'll shut them off when they should be shut off. Again, we're going to talk about Skyview a little bit, but you have several schools that have old boilers that could be retrofitted to new hot water boilers from steam. And then there's specifically at Skyview, we'd like to take a look at that school and switch that over from steam to hot water. It would really reduce the operating cost, reduce the energy cost, and would replace the old system that's just getting tired with a new one. Mountain Crest has another challenge. It's not as old as Skyview, but the equipment there is also past its useful life. The administration area, they've got VAV boxes, they just don't work. So there's a lot of complaints, a lot of discomfort in those areas because they're just worn out. They're just done. They need to be replaced. The dampers, same thing. Even your own district office building. You've got an automation system in there that if you were to have a problem with that system, you would not be able to fix that in that zone. You'd have to replace it somehow. So updating that system at the district office building and others would be something we want to look at too. Next. So this is the matrix that we sent out. This is on the first 11 schools. These are primarily energy measures that we looked at. You can see the 11 schools across the top there, along with 22 different potential recommendations of things that we would maybe look at and do. Next. So how does performance contracting work? We work primarily with the utility budget. And as you can see, that solid bar, that's just what you're spending in utility costs. Next. By doing a project like this, we're going to reduce those energy costs, as you can see on that bar. That blue part is your repayment of what it's going to cost to upgrade the schools. And that green part is anything in excess as far as savings goes directly to the district. After the project's done, like I said, you did this project 20 years ago. You paid for it in 10 years. And what you've been doing is really enjoying those savings over the last 10 to 12 years. With the payment done, that's gone directly back into your coffers. So what we see here now is that there's a project that's somewhere between $12 to $14 million of opportunity that we can go in and help within the facilities, with savings of between $800,000, $900,000 a year, in which Johnson Controls will once again guarantee to the district. Next. So how do you finance these? There's actually a variety of ways of doing it. Obviously, as I shared before, we search any grants that might be out there, any utility incentives, any grants that we can help buy down the cost. Blue Sky is a program that's run through Rocky Mountain Power to do solar. There's money's available there. The remainder would probably more likely be like we did that last time, would be done, put on what we call a TELP, or a tax-exempt municipal lease. These are low-cost financing. Top rate right now is about 3.75%. Again, the energy savings that we save pay for the project cost, all financing costs, everything. It's got to cover the whole thing every year, annually. So these are the ways in which we finance them. So here we're at today. Again, we met first back in November. We decided to look at those 11 sites. We started in February to go out and do those surveys. We came back and presented that to the district. Was able to provide a story or a reason why you'd want to go out for an RFQ or RFP to look at this further. That has been done, and you selected Johnson Controls back on 4/2. We're the school board making a presentation today to bring up to date of what we've been doing and kind of where we're going. In the packet that was sent out was a project development agreement. I didn't plan on going through that, but I'll certainly answer any questions you might have at the end here about that. That will be an action item at one of your future board meetings to allow us to continue to move forward, to make the investment, to bring all the engineers in. What we do at this point is we bring the engineers in, we come back with the actual guaranteed savings number to you. We go out and we bid out all the work so you know exactly what your fixed cost is, no change orders. This is what it's going to actually cost to do the project. And we, with the district, put together that whatever's going to be included in the project, and then put financing around it to make sure it works and meets all the state statutes and everything. So it's self-funded throughout the entire term. That PDA allows us to go out and make those investments. All that man-hour and that it takes to put that together, to go out and get all those bids. So this is really a document that these costs, I've actually never collected on one of these. The burden of a PDA really falls on Johnson Controls, because if we don't come back with a project that meets the criteria in the PDA, you don't owe us a penny. All we ask is that we get information like plans and utility bills and things like that to be able to do our work. But if for some reason the district should decide at the end of the day that, you know what, we just aren't doing this project, you met our criteria, you did everything you said we would do, but we're just not going to do it, that is the only circumstance in which you would ever pay Johnson Controls the dollar amount that's on the PDA. Never collected on one. These costs just really fold into the total cost of the project when we do it, okay? We're trying to get some work done this summer, so we're not disruptive as we, you know, working construction in schools. Yes, you can do it during the school year, but you try not to. So we're going to try to get 4 or 5 schools done this summer if we were able to get the process going through and get contracts out in June, so we can work on the schools in July and August. And we've got 4 or 5 sites that we've put together that we thought we'd try to get done. So we would come back to the board, make a presentation on those 4 or 5 schools for phase 1, notice to proceed 1, and hopefully receive a contract shortly thereafter. And then we'll finish the rest of schools and come back in August with the rest of the schools and do a notice to proceed too for the rest of the schools, okay? That will be done throughout the school year, maybe even next summer through summer break, especially like Skyview. The changes we're talking about making can never be done this summer. You just never could do it. So it's going to take a year of engineering and getting ready, and then next summer we would start on Skyview or Mountain Crest. And there would be a second notice to proceed. So next. Again, the benefits is fully self-funded. Either you fund a project like this and pay through it through savings, or you pay the utility. That's where the money goes. Right now it's just going to the utility. We'd like to invest it back into your schools. We try to address as much deferred maintenance as we possibly can. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're going to address all your deferred maintenance. We're not. But we can take a big bite of it, and that's what we're trying to do. While creating better learning environments. And we really do. When I don't know if you're like me, when I'm in a building and it's hot, I'm not as very productive. I sit there and complain a lot. And if I'm cold, same thing. I don't know what we expect of 7-, 8-year-olds, to act any differently. All of this does lead to a better learning environment. And again, take advantage of these improvements now versus later. So that is my presentation to you tonight. Is it appropriate for me to ask if there's any questions? Please.
Any questions?
You want to keep the lights on, somebody? And you can...
I have one I have several, but on your EUI graphic, with the bar graph there, Cache High had a really high EUI, but that's a brand new school. So why do you think that that's the case?
That was done before Cache High was completed.
Oh, okay.
So that was the old Cache.
Okay. Well, because
It assure you, Cache High, Green Canyon, Ridgeline, and Lewis is not included because they are in these buildings, and they are pretty much up to standard.
Okay. Well, that's what I hoped to see, but on the calendar of events, their walkthroughs were in February 2019. So Cache High is a new school in 2019. So
They took their data from our software that we use to track our electric bills, our utility bills. We had not divested ourselves of Cache High totally. I think that was the last month that we paid any bills at Cache High.
okay, at the old one. Okay.
This is data from 2017.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I had a similar question. I assume with Providence, the age has a lot to do with that, but I was a little surprised at Sunrise.
Yeah, can you, Vera? Are you familiar with Sunrise? Yeah, is Sunrise one of the...
Yeah, it's on the second half.
It has a new wing.
It's the highest one over on the end.
I can't tell you because we haven't looked at those schools.
Yeah.
We're just getting into them now. So that's just pure utility data. So I can't tell you
Yeah.
the story behind it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that is an older school.
Yeah, I was going to say, parts of that are really old.
It has
Not
some
really.
additions, but the original part.
Yeah.
Older than most of our schools are now.
Mhm.
We have divested ourselves of the really, really old ones.
Yeah.
But it's one of our older ones.
I'd say as a general rule of thumb, elementaries usually are the lowest. Middle are a little more, and high schools are the most in terms of
That's-
energy use indexes as a norm. And
Okay.
Then it's usually age from there, with the exception of sometimes we get into some old schools that are really efficient because they don't move enough outside air. So they have indoor air quality issues sometimes. So I'm just talking in general, not your district, but we see that a lot where you might just have a steam system and only unit ventilators on the wall that where they were probably when we all went to school. And so we'll see that sometimes where they're not consuming very much energy, but they also don't really understand the learning environment that you want.
Okay.
I have another question if somebody else doesn't have one. So you, What types of subcontractors do you use for these upgrades? Are they, I mean, do you use like electrical companies and HVAC and stuff like that?
Yes, we do. And we search for the local companies first and make sure they participate in the process. Right now, I don't have to tell you, it's a building boom out there. It's hard to get contractors. And so we will probably have to dip out of Cache Valley to be able to come up with 3 or 4 good bidders to bid on the work. They'll all be licensed. They're contractors you've worked with in the past that have worked well, and we have too. So we'll be trying to qualify those and make sure those are the ones we use.
But first you will look for Cache Valley contractors that we could use?
There'll be one bid that goes out, but all the Cache contractors will be a part of that.
Okay.
So they should have a home field advantage because they don't have to travel from the Salt Lake Valley or somewhere else.
We like to use local as much as possible.
Absolutely.
It's a big opportunity for them, for keeping the money local. So we look at that, we look at the contractors that we like to use. Sometimes if we have recommendations, we'll suggest people that you might want to, put into the mix. But that's all done in conjunction with the administration, contractor selection. We'll bid everything out and talk about, what do we think would be best for you, and you'll tell us what you think would be best for you, and we'll put those guys subcontractors on the project. We might be talking as many as 15 to 20 on a project like this with different skill sets.
Okay.
Any others? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate that.
We've had practice with them, worked with them in this district. I just want you to know I worked with them when I was in Blackfoot, Idaho. They are true to their word. They are a great asset to districts. And when we talked about Skyview and Mountain Crest in the past in these discussions, we've always said we'd like to go in and do 2 or 3 classrooms a year. Well, if you take that out, it's going to take us an awful long time to do that. This will allow us to at least move up the lighting, and when we do the lighting, we would probably try and figure out how to do the rest of those rooms as much as possible to bring them up to looking nice so that when those students go in there, they have the same feeling that they would have walking into one of our newer schools. So I do appreciate the opportunity of having them come into our district. I'm glad that they were selected off the RFP, and I think we can have them look at the rest of our schools and then get together and decide the scope of the project, and we can determine that ourselves. We don't have to do anything that we don't want to do, and we'll have to set a time frame that we're willing to work within, and that'll all come back before the board. So.
And we'll make the math hallway at Skyview less hot? So everyone can pay attention better?
Okay. As we said before, we can do almost anything, but we can't do everything. So we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
I just got to say, I've been to about 300 board meetings, and I tried to be prepared for them, but I think I needed a handkerchief for this one.
Yeah.
That was, I've been to a lot of board meetings, that was really great, so.
And that happens every board meeting from about the third of the year through, all the way down through, but this was particularly a great experience tonight. And thank you for recognizing that.
I was going to share one more thing. We're also going to be looking at your existing equipment. And, equipment in a building is much like a car. And over time, it doesn't work as well. So we're not going to be replacing all your equipment necessarily, but even your existing building, we're going to do what we call retrocommissioning, which is bringing that back up to a level that's workable and efficient and provides, in your case, potentially maybe the hallway heat, right? Maybe there's just a valve that needs to be replaced or a diaphragm or something to make it work right. So that's part of the project too, not necessarily replacing everything.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and move to the second report on school fees and policy update.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just take one and pass it down.
I'll apologize in advance for talking about school fees. This can be painful. Okay? But I think I have a way I can get over the information quickly, but yet make you feel comfortable about what's currently going on in school fees in our district as well as the state. About a week ago, Dale went to his finance meeting and came back with this report that the state board produces, and it really details a lot of the changes in the law, both out of House Bill 250 and the R277-407. And that was about a week ago. He brought it in, says, "Are you aware of this?" Yeah, I've been aware of that for about 4 months. And we've had several meetings prior to that talking about how we're changing our fee policy, our waivers, and even getting ready to present our fees for the 1920 school year. I went to my state meeting yesterday and came back with the same form with a different date on it. So the state's changed it again. And they assured us in the state meeting yesterday that there are still more things as they're going around making different presentations, business administrators to the CTE folks yesterday, and I'm sure they've done it with superintendents. They're taking the feedback and trying to clarify things, but I think we have a really good idea of what the big rocks are as far as going with what we need to be careful with and make sure we're responding to. So what I want to do is I'm going to walk you through the changes in our fee waiver policy. And if this form that I just sent around to you there, you can look at by the year the expected changes that we're supposed to make in the policy. Now, this afternoon I had Carolyn upload again changes in our fee waiver policy because I came back yesterday with more information, changed it, did an update. I think I put on by your chairs, there's the hard copy of the changes. All right?
That's good.
And I'm gonna walk you through that, but I'm gonna walk through it fairly quickly. I also set by your chair the draft of the 1920 fee schedule. And that's also loaded up into board docs as well. So I'm going to start with, if you take a look at I've got to open up the policy page here. So now I'm going to refer to this page. So I'm looking at the very top section that says, this is what has to be in place in school year 2019 and 2020. And they've got several bullets there that we need to make sure are going to be in our current policy. And these will all be in red on this form. So if you take that policy and you go to page 4, and we're just going to say, and I'll get through this quick. If I go to page 4L, right there where I have it highlighted, it says uniforms are fees that the uniforms are expensive or prescriptive. Right there it is in our policy. So I'm just showing you as a board, here it is in our policy where you've got it covered. All right? How it's defining that. The next requirement that we have to have in for the 1920 school year is the new certificate of compliance, web-based forms and process. If you go into that policy, go to page 7 on the policy. You go to 7E. It's talking about the school principal is required, and it's the school principal, I'm being very specific. They're the ones who are required to send in the compliance form to the superintendent's office.
Mike, were these already in our policy, or
no? These are changes that I'm making sure are. This is going to be our new policy right here that I'm showing you. Okay. Now, what's changed is now all of this is going to be electronically submitted to the state, where in the previous version of the bills, it was going to be done through paperwork and papers handed and compiled together and then sent in. No, it's all going to be done electronically, that process. The next one there says the new House Bill 250 definitions in effect for the full school year. If you go to page 1 of the policy, and it goes from page 1, everything in red there, starting with definitions, through page 2, through part of page 3, is marked there in red, and there's the definitions. Now, I do not have every definition that they have in House Bill 250 and in House Bill 277. I don't have every one of them listed. I picked out what I felt were the big ones, but if, as a board, you want me to put every definition in our policy or just refer them to the bill, actual bill itself, R277, to me, I think that's a better way to do it. Or I'll add at least 2-3 more pages to this policy if I put all the definitions in to the policy.
I went to a policy session back at the conference, and that was one of their major points, was keep the policies as simple as possible and refer them rather than putting down every little minute detail.
And that's what I've tried to do in this overall policy. I've tried to put the big things in here, but it's divided up in the sections in this policy, sections 1 through section, I think, 13 or 14, and it corresponds directly to R277-407, these sections. So they can go right to that bill and actually see these parts come out of the bill. The next one, it says there, LEAs cannot require service in lieu of a waiver. If you go to page 7 in the policy and go to, let's see, page 7A, right on the bottom there, it's highlighted right there. A student may be allowed to perform community service in lieu of a fee, but community service in lieu of a fee may not be required. So I've got it just the way that they want it stated in our policy. There it is. The next part of that one, cannot require individual fundraising. If you go to page 8 on the policy, right there, B in red. Fundraising policy may not authorize, establish, or allow for required individual fundraising. That's part of our fundraising policy that'll be in this actual document. And then all the official changes to R277-407 actually will be in the bill, in the R277, 1 January 2020. So right now they're in draft forms or sitting in House Bill 250, but by January 1, 2020, all of them will be into the R277-407. Okay?
Just for board member clarification, the R is a school board rule implementing 250, the law. So that's why it can change when the legislature's not in session, if they try and interpret what the law said.
Now you go to the next section, the school year 2020-2021. What I'm showing you here tonight is this policy is going to have every one of these in it. I'm not waiting for every year. I'm putting it all in right now, unless the board says, nah, don't want that in there yet. But I'm just showing you that it's in this current policy. So the very first one, now these are going to be in blue. You'll see these changes. The very first one, fee schedules approved by April 1st deadline, public notice, public meetings. If you go to page 5 on your, and if you start reading from B, C, and D, there it is, stated in the policy. What's changed about this is now we have to have 2 public meetings talking about fee waivers before you can actually make it an action item. All right? And the other parts detailing that down in E, we're actually adding into our policy the requirement to have schools post on their school web pages each extracurricular fee that's outside the school day, and they have to detail what that fee is purchasing. So if a parent wants to see what is football, why is football charging, and I'll get that $800, they can go to Skyview's webpage, go to their fees link, click on football, and see it right there listed, what it's buying. Okay?
Does each individual school set that up?
Every school will do that. Yeah.
Mike, is that the attachment that is the athletic activity maximum
Yes.
fee details?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, and I attached that to the board docs, you can see it, but that's the type of a form that every extracurricular, anything outside the school day has to fill that out. Now, that's going to be a challenge for principals and athletic director, activities directors to make sure they get that filled out. I tell you, but that's the law. And they have to get it done, and they have to get it on their webpage, because this is all about transparency so the public, parents can see what's going on and what that fee is paying for. Okay, on the next one it says new fee schedule, rules, activities and student maximums, spending plans, and language requirements. So on this one, if you go to page 5, and we're already there, I'm going to have to put my glasses on now to find everything I'm after. Okay, so on page 5, that's really talking about D&E section right here. The board has to establish, and this is very specific in D, per student annual maximum fee amounts. It's right there. And we had a couple meetings on this a couple of months ago, and Terry was there at the meeting when we were there with the principals, and we were going through these maximums, getting them set. But here again, this maximum is not required next year. It's required the following year. But we're putting it in place. We're recommending we put it in place for this next school year. That's what we're saying. All right?
Are the maximums going to be less?
No, and you're going to see that here in a minute, because it's really showing the real truth of what's being charged on the maximums. Okay? If you go to page 4, right here in blue, B right there, a fee related to a co-curricular or extracurricular may not exceed the maximum amount approved by the school board. So there is a second time in here. Now, you'll notice that section 4 right here deals with outside the regular school day activities. Section 3 deals with activities and classes during the regular school day. So there's 2 different sections, but they have the same requirement, be it during the school day or outside the school day.
Mike, can we go back to that maximum? In reading the one after that, is there a maximum then that is the maximum total that any student can?
Yeah. When I go over the fee schedule for you for 1920, I'm going to try to explain that to you, how we've thought through that as a committee, how to set that maximum per student.
You're thinking that we can set that and need to set that for this year?
We have it ready.
There's
Yes.
yes, there's an aggregate total.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. But
Yeah.
I thought if you put it in this year, well, we can have this discussion
Yeah.
offline, but
Yeah.
but if you have a little bit of flexibility, then I was wondering if we might want to just let that ride for the year and see how it plays out for what would be the maximum that any kid
Yeah.
tried to do during a particular school year.
Okay, now the great big maximum per individual, we have not set yet. We're waiting to ride on that one, because
Okay,
the state's even fluctuating on that.
Okay, that's
But
what
we
I-
have set maximum for activities.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
those types of
All
things.
right. That's
But the
kinda what I
great
wanted.
big maximum,
Yeah.
I told them yesterday, I'll set our maximum at 2,500 and we'll be okay, if that's what you want, state. Because there are so many variables that make that up.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay? If you go to page 9, section 13 in this policy, right here some more about budgeting and spending revenue plan. Dale, this is going to be a big job for Dale because the district and each school has to set up and establish a spend plan for the revenue collected from each fee charged. That means if a school is collecting a fee, and I'm going to use football, Dale has to set up budget categories where they have to put those funds and earmark them under certain budget codes for every one of those funds. Is that right, Dale? And Dale's just all excited about that. Okay?
But I can tell you, one thing that's really going to help with is nobody spending each other at some other person's or program's money. Yeah.
At the school level.
At the school level, yep. Saying, well, we got this big account over here, we'll just let them do it and then we'll make them repay. That's going to have to end.
It forces the schools to play under fund accounting rules just like we have to.
Yep. So, not all bad.
Yeah. The next one there, the LEAs cannot use one fee to subsidize another fee or waiver. If you go to page 4 in the policy, right there on the bottom, 1 right there, there it is, saying exactly what that says. I don't know how much of that we really have going on in our district, but some of these general fundraisers that we've had in the past in our schools, that's what they are. They're general, and then they take the funds and disperse them. When you get into the fundraising policy, you're raising it for a very specific purpose, and that's where the money has to go. It can't be, well, I think I'll use it here now and use it there now. They have to actually come in and get board approval from you when they're going to do a fundraiser for the year and tell you how they're going to use that money. So that's another responsibility the board's going to have on fundraising. So that takes care of the 2020-21 school year requirements. Now I'm down on year 2021 and 22. If you go to, fees must be equal or less than the cost of the activity. If you go to page 3, now these are in green. Here it is right here on the very bottom of page 3 and goes on to the top of page 4. That means when they sat down and the school establishes a fee for basketball, they have to set that fee that they're not charging a fee that's much higher than what's really needed, so they're just getting extra money because of they set the fee too high. They can't. They can't go over. They have to use the fee for what it's used for, and they can't build up a budget because they have overset the fee. Okay? The next one on there says board may take corrective action. That's talking to the state school board. If a school district and LEA is not following these new guidelines, the state board can come in and penalize the district. I didn't put that anywhere in this policy. That part of it.
It's not our policy.
Yeah. And then you go down to last year, 22 and 23 in purple, talks about textbooks. LEAs may not sell textbooks or otherwise charge a textbook fee. If you go to page 8 on your policy, this is in purple right there. And beginning in the 2020-21 school year, we can no longer charge a textbook fee. Now you're going to see in the 1920 fees that I'm going to propose to you here in just a second, we have them. We do not have a textbook fee in there. We've taken them off. We could actually go one more year charging the textbook fee according to this policy.
Does that work for online materials too?
Anything that's considered for instructional purposes, instructional, be an electronic textbook or whatever, yep. And the state's still wrestling with defining that, because yesterday they tried to tell the CT directors that if a student is using an iPad to access digital curriculum, that iPad is now textbook. And everybody was arguing with them on that, saying, oh, no, it isn't. That's equipment. Yeah. So, I mean, the state couldn't come up with a clear answer on that. I said, that's not textbook, but it's a tool to access the curriculum. So that has to be better defined. Okay, so that's the first look at changes in our policy. Any feedback the board wants to give me on this before I go to actual 1920
Good job.
school fees?
What a nightmare.
So the definitions that you have on pages, starting on page 1 and going through page 3, are those the ones from last week or the week before? And because if they're still arguing about what a textbook is?
Yep, they're still arguing about that. Yep. And like I say, it's not all inclusive. And I maybe need to put a note in there saying, for all definitions, refer to, and I'd refer them to 277, 407, but that won't all be there until January 1, 2020.
Do most states have this type of a law?
No.
Whose idea was this?
This was the idea of a judge who years ago had a
1994.
case brought before him to determine how to interpret the Constitution of the state of Utah, of what constituted a free and appropriate education. And they took that up to the 6th grade, that was what was meant, and then from 6th grade on, you could have a fee charged to students to help augment the money necessary to run secondary schools in the state. Most parents who move here to you and are hit with a fee schedule like this go into shock. But somehow these fees have to be paid. In most states, they are just part of the tax money that flows in to help run schools.
Are the people who move in shocked because the fees are so high or so low compared to what they had in other places?
They didn't have
Because
fees.
they have fees.
It was all paid for.
Oh, okay.
Paid for by their property tax
Yeah.
or their income tax or their sales tax. I mean,
So
the
one
money
way or
has to
another.
come from somewhere.
Yeah, one way or another, they
But
pay
they
for
have
it.
free and appropriate education all the way through 12th grade. We had it interpreted that it was only through 6th.
I see.
If you go back to page 1 on the policy in section 2, the authority and purpose, what this policy is all about is right there, A through E. And in a nutshell, this whole policy is supposed to make sure we're hitting every one of those bullets on A through E. And anything our schools do, be it during school, after school, if it's related to the school, it can be outside the school year, it can be during the summer. If the school is promoting it, it is waivable by school fees. It's a waivable fee. And you'll find all of that in this
So
policy.
how do other states, just with their taxes, they're
Yeah.
able to do that?
Yeah, it's just part of the taxes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, Utah is the lowest per pupil spending in the
Yeah.
nation. Part
And
of
this
that
is
is
part of the
'cause-
reason.
This is
Oh.
part of the reason.
Okay. All right.
Okay, now I'm going to show you the updated 1920 school fees right here. And you have that handout. This is one that I changed a little bit again today because when I got back from my meeting. What's new on this is this general information right up here at the very top of the page, items 1 through 6. They want us to be as transparent as possible when this document goes out to parents, that we can give them as much information as we possibly can on 1 or 2 sheets of paper. Now, that's section A, the general information. Section B, elementary, nice and short. You can't charge a fee. Don't charge a fee. Don't do it. They're not.
Happy to be in the elementary.
Yep. Okay? But the policy does state that teachers, if they go through the right process, they can ask for donations for school supplies. But there's a process, a right way they have to do that. And it's in the policy on how an elementary teacher school has to do that. So Section B is pretty simple. Section C, middle school fees. Here you start it. Maximum per student per year for Section C, right here for middle school, $150. Principals are fine with that. We set that. So when you look at anything in Section C, the most the student's going to pay in a middle school is $150 if it's tied to Section C.
And so, just for clarification here, in the past, middle school students have bought supplies. Can they do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pencils?
Well, they can, but they can have a fee for supplies as well in middle school, in a secondary school. They can have those fees. Now, what's in red below that, now the maximum, I said, is $150. But now what I'm excluding out of that maximum, because not every kid has this, instrument rental, additional class projects besides the very basic one that's required. There's some non-waivable fees, and they're listed there. And I put on here Bridgerland Technical College fees. If you see what the legislature's trying to do, they're trying to make those ATCs available to 8th grade kids. They're not there yet, but I put it in the policy. All right? Computer and writing labs. Last year was $20. We're taking that down to $14 there. You can see it in red. This is a new one we've added on both categories. Digital curriculum access and to help for, offset Canvas, $8. So really there's about a wash. It was $20. We took that down to $14. It added $8, that new one. So it's about $2 more. Now, that digital curriculum access in Canvas, will that be able to float next year when it's talking about textbook fees? I don't know. But it can go for this year. We can be okay. And then the other part down here, it says other trip requests as approved by the board. And the reason why we put this in for middle schools is they do some trips, but we don't want to make this 10 pages long. And for example, the example that they were trying to go through is they do their ski day at Beaver Mountain. And they don't want to list the fees and all that for that. So I says, okay, then you'll have to turn that in as a trip request for your school, and the board will have to approve it. It will be fee waivable, but the board can approve it because it'll be an event happening during the school day. So it'll happen via a trip request coming to the board. So we're going to try that for a year and see how that works. Okay. The non-waivable fees down there, a yearbook, and after school or summer core remediation. Now you go to Section D, the high schools. Maximum per student per year for Section D, and you can see what all D covers, is $350. The maximum does not include instrument rental, driver's education, additional class project, graduation fee, those that are listed as non-waivable, and any fees to Bridgerland Technical College. Bridgerland has to provide waivers for those.
So what about like the cheerleaders and the drill teams or dance teams?
Go down farther.
Yep, that's not in Section D.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if you look at Section D, so here's the digital curriculum right there. It was the textbook, was 23. We're taking that down to 15 for next year, and we're going to see, what happens after this year. If you go to the top of page 2 on that one, choir, it was 10. They're asking for $15. To try to help offset what it's costing them for sheet music mainly. Advanced choir is a brand new one because they have enough students that want to get into advanced choir, and they want so many more additional experiences. They say if you're going to go into advanced choir, we need to have at least $30 fee for that class. Now here again, everything I'm saying here is waivable. If a student's on a fee waiver, this is all waivable. And the very last statement there in Section D is textbooks for concurrent enrollment and advanced placement. Okay, you can charge a fee for those, but they are fee waivable. Those are two textbooks that you can still charge textbook fee for. Section E is the non-waiverable optional charges. You can see they're listed there. Now we go to Section F. Here is where we spent a lot of time. Here's the Section F, Utah High School Activity Association activity fee. So here's your maximums per sport. Per sport activity maximum includes the participation fee, transportation fee, uniform fee, participant packs, off-campus and on-campus clinics, IHC sports conditioning, and other associated travel costs. These fees may be less than listed. Okay? So here you go. You can see what they are by every one of those Utah High School activity events.
And they are all waivable?
What's that? Yes, they are, if you're on a fee waiver. Now, these costs, you take that baseball, for example, $600. That coach now has to take that one form that details that baseball fee is $600. They have to detail it out. Why? What's that $600 being used for? Has to be posted on that school's webpage under their school fee section. They have to justify. Now, they may say my baseball fee is only $400. That's fine. But the max is $600. They cannot go over $600.
So what are we charging right now? Say, for example, Mountain Crest, what do they charge for baseball?
When they came in, when all the principals and we met together and we tried to come up with these, we went back and forth on real actual costs. This is where we think we are in real actual costs right now.
Green Canyon was the only school that came in with a detailed list of fees for every single sport. The other ones came in with an idea.
Ideas, yeah.
But they actually had each coach fill out an activity, the sheet that Mike has attached here, and show what it was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So what's been happening in the past is, this is really probably what they've been paying. Now it's going to be very transparent, and they just can't go over it.
Mike, and another thing is that where they figure out what the cost is per student, they can't charge a fee that's above that amount, anticipating there will be fee waivers. So you cannot charge a higher fee than what the actual cost is for one student. That's going to be another challenge where they fund the fee waivers from.
Can you get sponsors?
Yes, you can, and the policy states, and I didn't highlight that one because it wasn't part of that checklist, but the local Cash Education Foundation can help sponsor fee waivers. And other agencies like that could do that if they wanted. Okay? And I am going to talk to the foundation and see what maybe the options are. Then the very last thing underneath there in Section F is the question was, well, what if we qualify for postseason competition, how are we going to cover those costs? Well, all the travel and everything is up there, up above. But what's not there is their daily board and room. And they're saying if they qualify, there's a $60, up to a $60 fee for room and board per day. Like they go into St. George because they're in a basketball postseason. Okay? They can't charge the kids any more money for travel or anything like that, but the $60 for their room and board. Now that's fee waivable, If a student's on a fee waiver, that can be waived. Has to be covered somehow.
I think I read somewhere, I don't know if it was in this one or the policy, though, if parents would like to pay extra
Yes,
to help, they can do that as well.
they can, but schools can't
Charge it.
ask them.
Oh, you can't ask them?
No.
Well, I got to read, I better come back on. They can put out in a general notice, like when they send this out, they could make a general statement that if parents want to make an additional contribution to help offset fee waiver costs, they can do that.
But part of the language in the new bill says that as a school board, we have to make sure that no school receives more funding through fees than another school, and no school takes more hit for fee waivers than another school. It all has to be evened out.
And I had that highlighted on the policy, and
That'll
I'd
be
go
tricky.
back to that. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun one, try it. Section G talks about co-curricular and other activity fees. This is where you can see, and here again, there's a maximum that's set for each one of these and what it includes: participation, transportation, uniform, participant packs, your clinics. You can see what it includes. So here's your other types of events the high schools are involved in. But that's the maximum set for each one of them. And they're all a little different.
Mike, are the student-sponsored clubs in that section the clubs that the students and principals come to have approved here?
The school, right there, see right, it says student-sponsored clubs right
Uh-huh.
there? We talked about that yesterday at our state meeting, and a lot of schools are just saying the student-sponsored clubs, they're not letting them go any higher than $5 or $10 to be part of a student-sponsored club, because they just don't want to throw more money at that.
Does it seem like the principals would reduce the cost of some of these things, like $1,300 for cheerleading, $1,400 for drill?
I don't see those two dropping.
For
I think
basketball?
the only
or-
thing that would bring that to a discussion if parents.
Yeah.
Parents are
Want it.
driving the cost of.
Yeah, I realize that, so I was just wondering if there would be a way to control that because of this.
And we can do that, that can be talked about. And in that discussion, that maybe some of the things that we've done, we will not continue to do. And I've used the example of, we've been sending kids down to Delta for band camp. We can do band camp right here. So we need to start thinking about things like that.
Do we also end up in the scenario of we can no longer fund this many cheerleaders, we'll have to cut back to this many? Teams will have to be smaller?
Those are all discussions that I think eventually might come out of this process.
So there's your first look at the 1920 fee schedule. So I know we'll have another study session on this, the first meeting in May. And I'd sure like to get feedback on this and the policy. Maybe in between now and then, they shoot me an email, give me a phone call, and then we can talk about it again in the next study session in May, and then go for final approvals the third week in May on this.
Thanks for doing this, Mike.
Yeah, that was a lot.
I checked other school districts' web pages today, and I only found 2 that had posted new updated fees for 1920. And so everybody else is behind, as well as us.
Yeah.
The April 1st deadline, if we were going to play by those rules. But so this is great. Thank you for doing this.
So,
Irma, are you interested in copies of any of this, or are you okay? Okay.
I have hard copies here, too.
That's the standard answer now, isn't it? Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, we'll go ahead and move to our secondary testing report.
Now, if you're tired of me, we can move that for another meeting.
Okay, we'll do it
Because
another time.
I've been ready on this for 4 months. I can
know.
just set
Yeah,
it to the
okay,
side
you'll
and do it
be
again.
really prepared
Yep.
when you finally get to do it. Okay, Dell, the monthly report, financial report. Can this one be shortened?
Oh, what
Sorry.
a slam.
That was cruel.
Well, I didn't mean it to be mean. I'm just asking, are there things that we don't have to hear?
He thought that died when I'll just say Alan the
left.
report is in the board packet, which gave you a chance to review it. Are there any questions?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm fine with that.
Are you okay with that?
There's not.
Okay. All right, so then on the board member vacancy discussion, let me try and refresh my memory. I'm into fees now.
Dale could help you with that.
Okay. Dell, do you want to do the? Okay.
Are we not doing anything on secondary testing tonight?
No, we're gonna save it again for another time.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna see how many times we can postpone
Okay.
that one.
Another exciting time.
Okay, with the resignation of Alan from the school board, we have a 30-day window where we, as a board, can name a replacement for him to complete his term or a partial part of the term. In his case, he was just recently elected to the board, so he has like 3.5 years still on his term. So an appointment that we would make as a board would only be for up until the next election. And so that would be like a 1.5-year term that this individual would serve on the board as an appointed board member. And then they would have to go through the election process for the remaining 2 years of that term, and then come back up after that on a 4-year rotation like we regularly have. And so we do have, well, the only requirement we have for individuals to apply to fill that is that they need to be a registered voter and reside in the precinct area which he represents, or represented, which is it's precinct 5. And so it's the 2 precincts in Hyde Park and 4, I believe, of the 5 precincts that we have in North Logan. It's precincts 1 through 4, and I think there's 5 in North Logan. So there's one section, if I remember right, it's up in the southeast corner of.
I think there's 6.
Is there 6
'Cause
actually?
I know I could cover 2 in North Logan.
Okay, yeah, you should know. That's right, that's your area. Okay. And so we have had a couple of public announcements. We had a great article in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I hope the public really understands the detail, because a lot of them don't go back and read the legal notices to get all the detail, but they can come and pick up an application at the district office. Jen, those are actually online too, are they not? Or
They're on our website in 2 places.
yeah, so they are available there also. And those need to be.
Is it out on Facebook?
What's that?
Is it out on Facebook?
Yeah, it was on Facebook.
And so those applications need to be turned in by 4:30 on the 30th of April. And then we will be holding a board meeting on the 2nd of May, strictly to hold interviews with the candidates.
5:30?
5:30, yeah, beginning at 5:30. And that will be an open public meeting, so the public can come and view the interviews if they would like. It'll all be recorded and available that way also, as our other meetings have been. And so on the board packet there, I've given you both a copy of the public notice that went out that gives the details of that. Also a copy of the application, so if you know of anyone who's looking for that, you could actually provide that for them also. And then there is listed there also the questions that were used the last time we had a midterm vacancy to interview the
Carolyn has sent
candidates.
those out.
Yeah, I noticed she had put them on the board packet. I didn't
Her
know if-
computer went wacky, and so she had to do something different in order to get them, but we all got copies through our email.
Okay.
Well,
Of
they're
them.
also on board docs.
In board docs,
All right.
yeah.
Well, so that was a request for board members to review the questions, see if there was any changes to those, any additions, whatever.
Can I just interject here for a second?
Uh-huh.
So all of the questions, if you are fine with them, that's great, but there has been one suggestion that we add something about working with the legislature, and I just would like to have some feedback. Right now, Larry, you're the only one on the board here who tonight interviewed. Did we ask you a question about working with the legislature, or that was a long time ago? Can you remember? Can't remember.
I also interviewed, and I was asked that question.
You were?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my question about that question is, would anybody new coming on the board even know how to answer that question? Did you know? How
I
you
did. I answered that I had already worked with legislators and that I was willing to continue.
So,
I think it's a legitimate question.
okay, so we need to.
It's
is
part of our
everybody okay?
job
Yeah.
as advocates.
Okay, is everybody good if we add that one? And I'll just let Carolyn know. Okay, problem solved on that one. Okay,
Okay, and then, I guess actual motion, action would be taken on the 9th of May school board meeting, regular school board meeting, to appoint the individual, and they would take the oath of office at that point also.
okay, so really all we need to know is to just be here next Thursday at 5:30, and then we'll get a schedule or an agenda. Who's, okay.
Yeah, we'll have the individuals scheduled out. We'll have to decide what type of time frame you'd like for each individual. It may depend upon the number of applications that you have. Can tell you, we have received one application as of now.
Okay.
But, so it might be good if you have individuals that you know of, or anyway, it'd be good to get word out to them of the process so they don't go unknowing. But anyway, I think that's pretty much the framework of what we'll have to follow, unless there's any questions. That's about it.
Okay, any questions?
So on May 2nd, are we just doing interviews, or are we doing a school board meeting afterwards?
We won't do a school board
Okay,
meeting, it'll just be interviews.
Just interviews, okay.
So it should be
Next
fine.
week,
Yeah,
be study session.
okay. And if there's any information that we need to know, I'll ask Carolyn to get it out to you before Thursday. So, okay, thank you, Dale. All righty, the three who are going to report on the board committee reports, are you good to bump yours back again?
Yeah, sure.
One more week, or one more time? Okay, we'll do that. And then on the board president report, just a couple of things. The second item on that, the board retreat is May 13th. I'm not sure
The
how.
board retreat?
Not the retreat.
The retirement dinner is May 14th.
Right.
Oh, there we go. That was the one. Okay, so the third one down, the date is wrong on that, it's May 14th. On the board retreat, we have done it before the second Thursday in June. Would everybody check and see if that's a good date? And you can let me know. Just email me if it's not. And then just some quick information on the Friday board updates. I've talked with a few people in the district also, principals, so has Terry. None of them seem to be really upset about doing it weekly. So I was kind of concerned about that it would be a burden to them. Has anyone heard any complaints about that? Okay.
No, we brought it up in both principals' meeting, and it's fine.
Okay. All right, then let me see.
Can I just say that?
Yes.
I really appreciate them. I really appreciate those. I have learned a lot in 4 weeks that I didn't know before.
Can you bring up August board meeting, the first one in August, Preston Night Rodeo time.
Oh, do you want it brought up now?
Yeah, let's just get it out.
Okay.
So we can know that it's going to be moved.
All right, so when we do our new schedule for next year for board meetings, we would like to not have it on August 1st, but move it to the next Thursday, the 8th, August 8th.
Will we bump the third one back to the fourth week also?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the 8th and the 22nd?
Would that work with everybody?
Yeah, and I do need to check with the county to make sure exactly which date we have scheduled for the truth and taxation hearing. And if it's conflict with that, I'll see if we can change that.
Okay.
And if you can't, just go ahead and schedule it.
Yeah,
And the
okay.
8th will probably be the county fair too. Won't it?
I don't know.
It's the Preston Rodeo.
Preston Rodeo's the first.
First, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
County rodeo is probably the 8th.
Oh.
Not that it matters to me, but some people would.
Okay.
Cache County Fair is the, Fair and Rodeo is the 8th of August.
All right, well, we'll still, I don't think that'll be a problem. Will it? For anybody? For county
It's
fair?
not the same.
Okay, and then on the June retreat, which I said would be tentatively June 13th, check out that date. And then I passed out this little handout, I guess, as a survey to see what you would like us to cover. And just circle or mark the ones that you would like. And we don't need to worry about school fees update under B, because that will already be taken care of beforehand. But get that back to me if you would tonight. Okay, Roger, what else was it that I needed to?
The school trust land that we handed out to them.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, so everybody should have their trust land plans, and Terry and I and Roger and Randall are going to take one of Alan's. And if you will use your rubric, which we had on Board Docs a couple of meetings ago. Is that where you stand up, Mike, was Board Docs? Okay, it's somewhere. All right, if you need a copy of it, email Mike and he can send it to you. Use one of those as you go through it, each of the plans, and then if the plan does not have everything in it that it needs or the way it needs, please contact the principals and let them know. We will be voting to approve them the second meeting in May. So we have until then for us to get information to the principals, them to change it, and then for it to be voted on. Is everybody okay with all that? Okay.
So that'll be on the 23rd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
And you might want to point out the appreciation banquet or school end party is before school's out.
Okay, and I was just going to address that issue. The date, you probably, if you've looked, it does conflict. It's before school's out, and it does conflict with Ridgeline's graduation. It's the only time we could get the pool and the park. So we went ahead and scheduled the celebration for the year end, recognizing that some of us will be in a graduation and not there at the beginning, but can make it at the end. So it's not we were well aware of what we were doing, but there's so many people who look forward to that and come. And we thought if we didn't have the swimming pool, the lines would be so long for food and games. So it just helps if we can have both. And I know they really enjoy the swim part if it's a great day. So that conflict was known, but we went ahead and scheduled it anyway. So.
Okay. Is there anything else? All right, does anybody else have anything, or have I forgotten anything? Hey, I like how our roll call worked. Everybody's name was right.
Pressure's off.
Yeah. The pressure's off.
Well, I almost forgot mine for a second.
Thank you so much, everyone on the board. Appreciate all that you do, and thanks to our superintendent and our district people. You guys are awesome. We just really are so lucky to have so many good people in great positions here making our district click. So without further ado, this meeting is adjourned.